Welcome back to the Turnbuckle Tavern and another edition of our Visits the Tavern, live from the No Cell Studios. I am the ace of the tavern, Stephen Acefield, and I am joined today by the cause of it all, as above, so below, Joey Conway. Thank you for joining me, man. How are you?
Of course, man. How are you? I'm good. I'm good.
Doing well. Glad we could finally link up and do this. This has been a long time coming.
Yeah, it has been. We've been, was it 2 months put off, basically?
Pretty much. You're a busy guy, so I got in there, and you're one of the fastest rising stars in wrestling, so I want to make sure we're appropriately doing you justice, giving you an hour of time.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I can't wait to get into it.
All right, so let's start off with the year you've been having. So I have the honor of talking to you with about a month and a half left in 2022. What are a few things you'd like to say about your year in and out of the ring thus far?
Dude, I don't even know. I don't even know where to start because I got chills just thinking about the year I've had. It's been 9 years since I started, and I am very proud of what I've accomplished in this last year. I'm sitting in front of two things that I'm very proud of. Not to mention a couple of the huge matches I've had with, guys like Jacob Fatu or can't even think right now. I've had huge rivalries with MBJ, MANBUN JESUS, and James Storm. I've wrestled him. I've wrestled a bunch of like big name guys on the independents, and some smaller dudes that we've just tore it down. And I think I'm most proud of the hard work I put in for this last year, and just throttling down and just going as hard as I can, as many bookings as I can, as many places as I can pop up, just trying to be there, and then my personal life, I just got engaged last week.
Congratulations, man. I saw that on social media. That's awesome.
Yeah, she'll probably pop in soon. She's literally just getting out of work, I think, right now while we're recording this.
That's awesome, man. But congratulations. And you are the cause of it all. So let's get into the moniker. I had some questions. I did put up a story on my Instagram about questions, and this is one of the questions that popped up. What's the influence for that moniker, and how did you come up with it?
I didn't come up with it. My dad, who passed away years ago, a couple years ago, 5 years, 6 years, something like that. 5 years, I think. 6 years coming in. He had a band. It was called The Cause of It All. And he gave that band up. That band was a touring band. He was about to go to England and start, doing monster tours with really big name bands. And he gave that up to have a family with me and my brother. Have me and my brother with my mom. And I always loved that moniker. I always kind of loved that for some reason that was always strange to me. It was always a weird, that's a cool name. And it always stuck in my head. And when he passed, I said, actually just before he passed, my dad was a big motorcycle guy. So for years I had like aces and eights type kind of gimmick.
Right.
And I had a motorcycle vest. I put The Cause of It All on the back of it and all this other stuff. And he got to see it and was like, what is all this? I'm like, it's, you did this. You're the real cause of it all.
That's awesome, man. And you've name dropped some pop punk legends on social media, and I want to just kind of dive into that a little bit. So Paramore, Blink-182. I saw you post on Twitter today, Cartel, even newer bands like Small Pools, which I was so pumped that you mentioned because I love them myself.
My favorite band of all time. I have there's 4 records sitting right over there of there. That's my favorite band of all time.
They're amazing live. I had seen them last year. So they're, if you guys haven't seen
Small Pools, I just saw them last week.
Awesome, dude. So it's safe to say music might influence your presentation in the ring. So I guess speak to that a little bit.
Always, man. Believe it or not, pop punk is kind of not. Pop punk is that's my heart. But pop punk hasn't been really. I haven't found a way to add pop punk in, except for certain things. You'll catch random things I'll say on a microphone that are from lyrics I love or whatever, and that's a lot of the stuff that I say. But what more influences my character is hardcore. I love Knock Loose and Every Time I Die and bands like that, and Backtrack, and a lot of Long Island hardcore bands like Incendiary. I love that stuff. So, and to me, that stuff is a feeling. that when you listen to that, you get a feeling, you get a I don't know, you get this. To me, it's this feeling in the pit of my stomach where, like, when I listen to Knock Loose, I just want to punch somebody in the head.
Right.
And that's why my entrance song is a Knock Loose song.
Right.
You know, and like I love that stuff, and that stuff for some reason it feeds me, Joey Conway. It feeds that character.
Right.
That I love the way it makes me want to tap into that. It makes me want to, like, and you know, some of the lyrics, a lot of people listen to it and just think it's, oh, they're just yelling for no reason. And you know, when you really get down and dirty into it, you listen to some Knock Loose, and it's real deep.
Yeah.
He's screaming about some real deep shit. It's real good.
Right.
You know, Every Time I Die, you know, it's everybody kind of listens. Not everybody. A lot of people listen to them now because of Andy Williams, you know, on AEW now. You know, I'm happy that people that wouldn't have heard him or heard that band or had been introduced to that band, you know, we get to listen to that, because, you know, oh, I like Butcher and Blade. Butcher and Blade's great. Wait, Andy's in a band? Let's listen to that band. You know,
yeah, same thing with Brody too. You know, with God's
Brody,
Hate.
yeah,
Like, people check that out
tomorrow. God's Hate's playing tomorrow in Brooklyn somewhere. I know
That's
that.
amazing.
I think I'll be there. I don't know. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Right? So this is dropping on Friday night, so you'll be there on Thursday night. But tomorrow we have a show coming up, NYWC, Draw the Line. So I saw the card for it. I didn't see a match announced for you quite yet. So anything you want to say about that to hype it up?
Dude, they're screwing with me, man. I put MBJ in a casket last month in a match that should have been their main event, and now they don't advertise me like that. It's really irking me. So I know what I'm doing. I know I'm showing up. I know that I'm in a match. I don't know if they want me to know what it is. I've heard rumblings of what it is, but so I know it's, you know, I don't get it. I'm one of their premier guys, and they just decide to just not throw me on a card with a match graphic to advertise me. That's a little weird to me. So, you know, but it goes to show you what they've been trying to put me through for the last 10 years. You know, right. I love that company. I bleed for that company legitimately. And I don't know, that's the stuff that really gets to me.
We'll circle back to that in a second. We'll definitely get more into the MBJ match, the casket match, from about a month ago at this point. So, but I've been following you for a few years now, and you really blossom with this current iteration of being the heel, the facial expressions, the mannerisms in the ring, just an absolute monster run right now. Did this version of your character with the Ox Baker type mustache grow organically, or was it something you envisioned in the past? I mean, also too, break out the heart punch, man. That's like a finisher waiting to happen.
Thinking about it, and then somebody just caught heat for using it as a finish this week, and I don't know who it was, but I saw it like heart punch trending, and it was like heart punch is not a finish. Like, that dude legitimately killed people with that move. Yes, it's a finish. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know. I gotta look up who it was that caught heat for no reason. But, dude, so this whole character, unfortunately, came organically, and organically as in, like, it took very long time for me to, like, figure out what I wanted to do. I was trying things or trying things. I thought I was doing stuff. I thought I was, you know, helping myself. I thought I was pushing forward and trying to, you know, create a character, but I was just getting more and more generic, more and more generic. And I didn't realize it. I thought, like, oh, I could do flippy stuff, and I'm 6'2", 220 pounds. I'm bigger than half of whatever roster there is on the independents. I'm like, oh, that should get me over. No, not even close. Like, it's just silly stuff. So I you know, just before the pandemic, I bought a fur coat, and that's the one I always wear now. And I wrestled James Storm then in a singles match, actually in a tournament for this title, which I did not win that tournament, but I ended up with this anyway. So the EAW, Extreme Annihilation Wrestling, had a tournament literally the day before the world closed. There was the last legal professional wrestling show in New York just before we quarantined. And I was in the first round with James Storm, and I'm sitting in the back, And so I bought this jacket maybe 2 months prior, and I would just like put it on, and like I thought I looked like an idiot. And in my head, I'm like, oh man, everybody's gonna make fun of me. Everybody's gonna like laugh at me. Like, oh, this is a stupid thing. Whatever. I brought it with me, and my brother never like. He used to come to shows all the time. He never comes to shows, but he's a big James Storm fan, so he went to that show.
Right.
And I'm like, oh man, like I'm gonna look like an idiot wearing this jacket. I'm in a tournament with it's James Storm, it's Rex Lawless, it's Trevor Murdoch. There's some big name dudes in this tournament. Matt Striker's in the tournament. I'm like, and I'm gonna come out in this fur coat looking like an idiot. Like, damn, I don't know what to do. So I brought it in a backpack and like didn't show anybody, and I didn't wear it, and I regret it because the minute, I don't know what it is, why it's like Superman taking the glasses off,
right,
or Clark Kent, whatever. It was something about wearing that jacket. I felt like I was just like an idiot, and that's as a bad guy, you're supposed to be looked at as an idiot. And I didn't, like, in my head it didn't click, and when I finally wore it, somebody said, dude, that looks so good, you look so dumb. And I went, yes, like, it looks so good, you look so dumb. That's exactly what I want. That is what I'm going for. You know, like, that's where I started to just kind of get away from my inhibitions, my worries of looking like an idiot. I got away from it. And it was just into quarantine, maybe 4 or 5 months in. NYWC filmed a tournament, their own tournament. It was called the Heart and Soul. It was the first one. And we all took pictures. We took promo pictures. I was fat at the time because of quarantine. We all were. It's okay. And we all took promo pictures, and we all took like these like cool, like, early 2000s. I don't know if you remember, like, WWE, like the Raw, like just before they would like
the moving pictures.
Yeah, but they like moved.
Yeah.
We took those, and I had the jacket. I didn't wear the jacket, and I finally put it on, and then that's when they said that. They're like, it looks so good, you look so dumb. And I'm like, that's perfect. So I started to just get away from that, and for so long I didn't, you know, I'll admit it, I was an idiot for a very long time in my career. I treated it like a hobby and not like a career. I treated it like, like I was good, and I wasn't. And I trained poorly. So like I was trained well, don't get me wrong, but my work ethic was trash. Like, I would show up and like, I would just like half-ass a workout, or half-ass, my training. I didn't want to blow up. That was my big thing. I didn't want to be gassed out. Why would I do that? Now, then I started practicing how I play, and I started blowing up every time I trained, and I would blow up from like screaming, from doing the grunts, the yells I do, the random barks, and it started progressing. Like, I would get blown up more and more and more and more. And eventually I started getting blown up less and less and less and less, but I could make more sounds.
Right.
So I wanted to sound like an idiot. I wanted to look like an idiot. I wanted something to like everyone would remember. The fur coat is something people remember. The mustache, something people remember. There's a lot of bald bearded guys now in this business, and they you got to stand out. I wear very flamboyant colors. I try to wear like a purple, or like a lime greens, or weird, like, I don't want to wear the black on black on black on black on black stuff. Yeah, I do mix it with black because I don't want to get dirty, and some of these rings are filthy, so you don't want to, like, there goes the title. Whatever, doesn't matter. Some of these rings are filthy, and you don't want to, like, I have white gear. I wore it like 3 or 4 times. Obviously you wash your gear after every match, but now I'm getting to the point where I got to get new white gear. And it's only like 5 or 6 matches at this point.
Yeah. So, I mean, you mentioned being a heel, and getting heat is pretty much the goal generally from the live audience, especially, garnering a reaction. And you as a heel, you do such a great job of it. I've seen you, I mean, so much in the past 2 months. But what do you find shockingly challenging about getting heat from a live audience? Is it just one of those things where, again, you fall into the character and you start getting into the zone, or is it just challenging altogether, depending on what kind of crowd you're in front of?
That's key. It depends on what crowd you're in front of. If you're in, like, I wrestle a lot upstate New York, or some of the down south places I go, it's those crowds are different. New York crowds, Massachusetts crowds, Philadelphia crowds, they're hard. They're real difficult. So you have to, like, I don't know, with the upstate crowds, or the southern crowds, or even some of the Midwest crowds, you can get heat by just doing general stuff. People yell at you, you yell back. Oh, boo! Pick on a kid in the first row. Boo! Really cheat, because a lot of times the Southern wrestling fans, they really know the rules, and
Right.
they take it very seriously. So if I cheat, there's your heat. Like, that's one of the big things. But the New York crowds are difficult, man. Especially like Long Island crowds. They like to sit on their hands. They don't like to make noise. They try to like poke holes in everything you do. So that's a big thing. I try to make my stuff as real as humanly possible. Like, I don't want you to look at it and go like, oh no, that hold's not real. I watched UFC once. Okay, well, sure, but have you ever actually been in a freaking fight? Like,
Right.
some of this stuff really hurts, and a lot of it really hurts, and it can be applied properly or improperly and hurt just as bad. But it's stuff like, yeah, I'll break the rules, but as soon as I break the rules, you have to just up your aggression, and you have to be so aggressive, and that comes with cardio and training, and you have to be able to change those gears at a moment's notice. If you feel the crowd changing a little bit, you have to, like, listen. And I didn't, again, this goes back to pre-COVID stuff. I didn't know that. I was trying to be a babyface. I was trying to be a heel. I was trying to be a good guy, a bad guy, this guy, that guy, and I didn't listen. And I never understood what, all the guys that came before me, and I would do seminars, just listen to the crowd. What does that mean? Like, what is that exactly? I don't understand what that means.
Would you accept cheap heat or genuine heat, just depending on the night? Is that, I mean, follow-up question to what I was asking about determining what you're doing with the crowd. Like, are you just, this some night you'd be like, I'm just going to accept the cheap heat because they're reacting?
No, I mean, you're going to accept it and you can use it. I use, like, if there is a way, if I hate cheap heat. I hate it because it doesn't show. There's no what's the word? There's no challenge in
Right.
that, and I, even just with the promo that I cut, just skipping ahead, skipping back, skipping ahead, promo I cut after the match with MBJ. I hated it because that was cheap heat, but I was asked to get cheap heat, so I got cheap heat. And as soon as I came through the curtain, I said, that'll never ever happen again. I dropped curses, which I try not to do, because when certain people are looking at you, they don't want to hear that. And you won't hear me do that. Like, from then on, you won't hear me try to do that at all. So I don't like cheap heat, but if something is getting heat, if I see, it could be anything. It could literally be anything. If I'm in the heat and I stand on somebody's foot and somebody in the crowd reacts, oh, okay. So they know what that feels like. Okay. So I have to do like math in the ring,
Right,
while I'm wrestling, to see like where everything lies, and where I can, I can pick up a little heat here because they don't like this, but they get a positive reaction when I do that. But I also still want to make the other guy look good, and I want him to get a big pop. So I have to like, it's like a balancing act. And
really, yeah.
To like answer your question, no, I try not to get cheap heat. I hate cheap heat. I hate, there's multiple different levels of cheap heat. So like, at least in my opinion, like a cursing, like just generally like just berating a crowd and just
your sport team sucks.
Yeah, we're all Mets suck, Islanders suck, Yankees suck, Giants, Jets, name them all. Doesn't matter, name them all. Like that stuff is just silly to me. I'll like that stuff, that like childish cheap heat. I love it. Like that stuff I love. It sucks, but I love it. Just, I won't do it unless I guess I need it,
right.
But I try to steer away from that. I try not to accept that as something I do. But, I like to watch that stuff. Like that stuff to me is hilarious. I love the go to commercial break. Sports team sucks. Sports team sucks. Sports team suck. Your general food sucks. They come back from commercial break. They're murdering you with booze. And then you go back into your real promo. Like that stuff on TV is amazing. I love that. But like to do that in a regular, like every week, every day sense, I hate it. I just won't. I refuse to try to use that. And if I have to, then I'm at my wit's end. Like if you ever see me do that, I'm just
keep your ears out, everybody, if he starts doing that. So let's go back to NYWC for a second.
If I'm in Philadelphia, then I'll do it no matter what.
Yeah, I know you're a big Met fan. I know that hurt the World Series run, and you challenge Bryce Harper to a match. This wasn't a question I had, but talk your shit on Bryce Harper.
Dude, I hate that dude so much. There's not even a joke. Like this isn't even like this is a real thing. I was in a bar in Boston. I guess they must have played the Red Sox, and these Philly fans were like losing their minds, and they just started talking their shit, and they're like, well, you're a Boston fan, because I guess they thought I was from Boston. I was like, no, I'm worse. I'm a Mets fan. And they're like, what are you even doing here? And then they switched. They were just like, nope. Now I'm instantly like, you're my target all night long, and they just kept berating me. And for whatever reason, they kept drilling into Bryce Harper. And I said, you know what? I hate him. He's done for me.
I'm done with him.
I don't care. They could sign him. The Mets could sign him tomorrow. I would still hate him with a burning passion. That dude is giant, and I would have a hell of a fight with him. But I want it. I want to wrestle him. I want to fight him for real. I do not like that man.
We saw him fight Hunter Strickland a couple years back, so I think you have a chance. I mean, he threw a punch at Hunter Strickland and he dodged it. So I like your odds. Come on.
That looks like a dude. My man is avoiding all the lawsuits possible. He's an idiot.
All right, so let's go back to NYWC. We talked about MANBUN Jesus and the rivalry that you've had with him. I think back to your match in October at House of Madness, the casket match. The picture's right over my shoulder. You guys can check that out. I'm going to get you to sign and MANBUN to sign it as well. It's the picture I took. It was awesome.
It really is, man. That picture there was a lot of pictures from that match that I got tagged in or sent. And that picture was the best one of all of them, to the point where all the guys in the back, when we train, the next day after, I think I posted it, or maybe you posted it, or somebody posted it, and they were all like, dude, we need this picture. You should frame this. I'm like, I know. Yes.
It's coming your way, dude. Like when I saw it happening, I knew what you were going for. Like the Michael Myers raising from the dead, just behind him. I had to get a picture of it. Like I was like, I got my camera out. I snapped about 60 pictures. I got the slime balls next to you posing, but the best one was you emerging right before you did the miss right in his face. It was sick.
Dude, the funny story about that whole like moment is I'm laying in the casket, and I'm just waiting. and I realize it's time, right? So I start standing up, and the casket starts doing this, and I'm standing like here. So the casket's doing like this. So I feel like I'm surfing. So if you see the video and I'm going back and forth, I'm really trying not to die. Like I am that, what is that the rampway is like 4 feet up.
Yeah, it's not steady.
Like 5 on top of that. I'm like 10, almost 10 feet off the ground just to my feet. And I'm like, I look down, I'm like, this whole thing is going to topple. I'm going to end up in the crowd. The athletic commission is going to just stop the show. We're not going to like have any, there's not going to be allowed any more shows. We're done. They're done. That's all I'm thinking about the whole time when I'm stumbling, like as I'm standing up. So in my head, it looked so bad. It looked terrible because I'm trying
so good.
Save myself from dying and also save the fans on either side of me from, because it's to my right is bleachers. To my left, I don't think there's anything to my left at that point. I think they moved everybody up because that was like Hall of Fame stuff. But still, if the casket had gone that way, that would have hurt so bad. And B, that, oh man, I was just so nervous about killing the fans, which was my plan at the end. Like I wanted to throw the casket off the side of the stage, and then Dan Barry stopped me like an idiot. Like, come on, man.
It was a rental, wasn't it? I heard it was a rental. That's what
the casket?
Yeah, was that a rental?
No, we bought that.
Oh, did you really? That's amazing.
Yeah. No, we owned it. That's
so sick.
We don't mess around, man. If there's a cat like NYWC, that's one thing like I really hope that people take away from stuff like that. If there is going to be a casket match, it's a real casket. If there's a buried alive match, they're building a tomb somewhere and they're going to bury some, like they go above and beyond to do like the gimmick matches. Like when we do the circus, they're planning out not even like spots or whatever the things to do. No, they're planning out like, all right, we're going to erect this giant board filled with Legos on the top. The second row is going to have thumbtacks. The third row is going to have this. I'm just sitting there like, what are you guys doing? And I was in that match. It was that board was terrifying.
So let's go back. Just the casket matches as a stipulation. Such a dramatic way to end a feud. Really, this is the third and final match. Have you guys met up a few times? But this, I mean, for this Fusion Championship, this was really the culmination of months of feuding.
Yeah.
What was that like building up to it? And do you feel like it delivered? I personally thought the match, one of my matches of the year as far as independents go. I thought it was such a good spectacle. We'll get to the Canadian Destroyer spot, but man, like what were your thoughts on how it all worked out?
Man, starting from the beginning, like I think right after the Psycho Circus, where that board was, I think maybe the month after or the month before, I can't remember what the time frame is. Maybe a couple months after. I don't remember it being for the Fusion title. I think the first time MBJ and I met up, it wasn't for a title. It was I wanted a shot at the Fusion title, which is on this side. And he had just had it. He lost it at Circus to Willow Nightingale, and I've always, like, when I started NYWC, I wanted this title. I love this title. I love the people the people that have held it, like Nice and Trent and Mondo and guys like Blake Morris, that Rex Lawless,
Alex Reynolds, John Silver, yeah.
Like these guys, just name after name after name after name. Gacy, like all of these people, and I'm like, man, I just want to I want to be in that. I want to be in that conversation. And I've always wanted to be in that conversation. It's like the Intercontinental conversation, like you want to be in that conversation with Shawn Michaels and a Razor Ramon and this and that, you want to be in that conversation. So for NYWC's, I wanted to be in that conversation, and I've always wanted it. And I never got my shot. I was close a couple times. And then just for whatever reason, nothing came about it, or they moved away creatively, or we found a way to I found a way into talking myself into a feud with somebody completely else. Keep running my mouth, and that's a story of my career. And for whatever reason, I was like, you know what? MBJ and I we wanted a match, and I needed a definitive finish. So it was the first time I'd ever on a NYWC show at least done a 450. I 450'd him. I beat him, and then I hit him with a dude buster through a ton of chairs, and that spot went viral. We got like 4.5 million views on Instagram, a ton on TikTok, a ton on Facebook, a ton on this, and then NYWC's Instagram got deleted. So like it doesn't exist anymore, and I'm so mad about it. But off of that video, I got booked a bunch of places, and I saw, oh, okay. So if I do something, it like reverberates through the indies, and now I got more notoriety, and I got more, more bookings. I got more people, more eyes are on me. So I was like, all right, I want to do more. Then I had a match with Willow. I beat her for the Fusion title, which Willow was one of like, I hold her on a pedestal, man. She is one of the best, not only women's wrestlers, one of the best wrestlers. Like she's so freaking good, man. And to have a match with her, I was so happy, and I'm very proud of that match. I don't know if it's on YouTube, but it should be. And that match was very good. I got a ton of heat. She got, as she always does, a huge reaction, and everybody loves her. And it just made for us to have an easy night wrestling and a fun night. And then I think originally I wanted to feud with MBJ through the summer, and we didn't. We got nothing. I got a couple of defenses against like Will Maximo and Sebastian Cage, and a couple people. Dan Barry actually was one of them, who I beat, of course, because everybody beats him. It's fine. But we had a like in my head, I always wanted to get back to the MBJ because I felt like there was unfinished business. I crushed him. I put him out for like 2 months with a dude buster, and put him out. But and eventually we got back to it, and we had the one match for the Fusion title, and there was something there. Like we both felt it. We both, this the little peek behind the curtain, but like we both we came back through the curtain, and we were both like it's like something happened there. Like we don't know what it is, but like something. It felt different, and there was like some sort of chemistry. And I've never you hear people talk about it all the time, and like I had chemistry with this guy, chemistry with that guy, chemistry with this guy. I've never felt that, and both of us felt that, and we wanted to make something special, and we knew that he's MANBUN Jesus, and my character's like the devil. So like what better way than to bury you like alive,
right?
We pitched like buried alive, and then we were like, wait, we could just get a casket. We started looking for caskets over the summer. We found them, and we're like, yo, we got to do this. We got to do this. So we got a casket, and NYWC got a casket at least, and for us, which is amazing. And we went into that match, and we're like, our whole point of that match was we wanted to. The actual main event was a barbed wire match, like they call it barbed wire paradise, and we knew that would be like gruesome, and we knew there would be a lot of weapons used and a lot of stuff. They're going to be throwing stuff at the wall. There's going to be a lot to that match, and we could have done the same thing, earlier than them, and really ruined that match for them. And I didn't want to do that. Neither of us wanted to do that. We wanted to like tell a story. We wanted to like pay homage to some of the older casket matches that both of us, him and I, both love those. And like we wanted to do a gimmick match, right? We wanted to try, and I'm really proud of that match, man. We went into that match trying to like really lay everything in, and really just every hit was a real hit. Every time that him and I like got involved in anything, shot for shot or anything, it was real. Even like to this day, my ankle is still screwed up from a suicide dive because I threw my whole body weight into that suicide dive. And I wanted to, my goal for that suicide dive was to hit him and then continue into the crowd. I wanted that as a moment. I wanted to blast him and go straight through him into the crowd, land in the crowd, get up and just lose my shit. And that was my plan. He was a lot more sturdy than I thought. I hit him and then we both hit the ground and my ankle went straight into my like toes went straight in and turned my ankle. And I went, that sucked. But we wanted to tell a story and you know, Mike Mondo is back with NYWC. He's training. He's one of the head trainers there, and he was backstage. And I asked him for some advice, and he gave me some of the best advice for that match. And we used it in the first 30 seconds of the match. And if we didn't use that, I don't think that match would have made that as much sense as it did. And I think that we would have lost the crowd. But I have to honestly give a huge amount of credit to Mike Mondo. Honestly, that again, that's a dude that's like my idol. I look up to him. I talk to him all the time for advice. You know, I ask him, I pick his brain as much as possible. If anyone on that watches this at all wants to follow anyone and learn anything about wrestling, go on his Twitter. Mind of Mondo is such a great tweet. Every time he tweets one, it's like gold. It's amazing.
Yeah, I know he's doing the boot camps and he's offering advice to people. And I know like during the pandemic, some of that started, Lance Storm started having people send your matches. He would critique it. So if you guys, you know, have a match or an independent wrestler, send it to Mike Mondo. Like, I mean, the guy's been all over the place, 20 plus years of a career, more than that, actually.
Dude,
just killing it.
I use his service. It's $20. He sends you, and it's like, it's not a joke. It's funny, man. He trained me. He's one of the guys. I was trained by Nice, Reynolds, and Mondo. And those are the three guys that I look up to. And, you know, Mikey Whipwreck is like all of our like New York independent wrestling. Mikey Whipwreck is all of our like granddads. Mm-hmm. Or like, he's going to kill me for saying that. So I got to find it's going to kill me.
You know, it's really funny. Speaking of Whipwreck, just to go off a tangent for a second, 1995 ECW, we're doing that for season 2 of Shot Nostalgia here on Turnbuckle Tavern. We're starting episode 1 on Friday. It actually just aired before this aired. And Mikey Whipwreck is such a huge factor in 1995 and such, I mean, he's on the ground floor of what becomes ECW as the third promotion in the Attitude Era. He's so influential.
Anytime anybody, so I never like, I would watch ECW when I was a kid, but I didn't like, it was on at like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
So I would watch it on the like MSG network. So yep. Like while a lot of like, but I would have to like, I didn't have a TV in my bedroom. So, hey, there's my dog. So while, can you be quiet, buddy? So while I would, and my fiance, so while I would, I would turn it on at like 3 in the morning, right? It would be like that or like Lucha Libre Mexico or whatever, like AAA or whatever I would find. And we would, I would just stand like in my doorway eventually when I got a TV in my bedroom. And like, I would try to block out all the light so my parents couldn't see. And that's all I'd watch. It's like old ECW stuff. Cause I didn't know what it was. Right. I knew WWF and I knew WCW and I didn't know if anything else existed. And then when I turned that on, I randomly caught that and I was like, this is amazing. I don't know what this is, but like, I'm addicted to this. And every chance I got, I would turn it on. And, you know, being a kid, you didn't know. So I would try it every night. And that's how I found out about like Lucha Libre stuff. Like I saw some AAA stuff that I fell in love with Lucha, but I would try it every day. And eventually like I would go to like Public Access and I would see like local indie guys. And that's actually how I found out about indie stuff. Like ECW ruined me as a wrestling fan. but
No, it's so true, man. Like ECW is so influential, and I don't think they get the credit they deserve. I mean, people understand ECW as the tables and the chairs and the blood and the guts and all that stuff, but that roster 95, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Sabu, Perry Saturn, those guys are going out there and changing what it was to be pro wrestling in the 90s.
It's insane. Like, imagine like where that roster goes from there. 95, right?
Everybody,
so, 96, 97, that entire roster, except for like 3 people you named, are in WCW.
Yeah.
And they're changing wrestling again. They're weights. They're killing it. Then in 99, they're in WWE, WWF or something. So, no, 2000, right?
The Radicals. Yep.
They come in as a Radicals. So then they change it again right after that. Like, that's so insane to me. And
then on top of it too, Eddie Guerrero and Benoit close out WrestleMania 20 at MSG as champion. I know it gets completely blacklisted because of everything that went on with Benoit, but that moment's enormous to think where they were in 95 in Philly in some backyard to MSG. It's crazy.
That moment right there, while it gets overlooked as it should, because of post events, obviously, that moment happens, and then what we know as wrestling is born. Bryan Danielson, is allowed to come and revolutionize, wrestling again, like he just did 5-6 years ago. More, I mean, definitely more than that at this point. Was I watching Raw on Monday, and they just said like Miz has been around for 18 years. You have guys like John Morrison, and like you wouldn't have this without that. The people, Seth Rollins, and is main event everything. Like those guys, that doesn't happen, and it like reverberates through all of wrestling. Jay White doesn't exist. Eric Young doesn't exist. AJ Styles, while he was there, that like at a level of that, I don't think he becomes that like superstar without that moment happening. And there's so much that came from that in my head, at least.
No, for sure, dude. It's like a butterfly effect. And that's what we're going to go into in season 2. And dude, you're welcome to come on. If you ever want to chat ECW, we pick one event from the 12 main event. It's not pay-per-view yet, but it's like double tables, Return of the Funker, things like that. So I'll give you the schedule. If you want to come on and be a special guest for the 2 of us, we'll break it down to the 9th degree, like we always do.
Hell yeah. I love that stuff, man. And like going back to what we were saying, like even throughout all that, you said the ECW doesn't get the credit it deserves. I think it does. I don't think the people inside of ECW get the credit they deserve.
Good point.
A Raven, even Tommy Dreamer. While people know his name and love him, I don't think people understand where Dreamer took it. Dreamer came in as this babyface where everybody hated him, and then they killed him. Killed him. And then he got over as a babyface. It took all that. Like Mikey, obviously, Mikey Whipwreck to me is the most underrated wrestler of all time, and that's just while that might be a biased opinion, I think it's a very valid one at the same time.
It's an educated one for sure. I mean, you know him firsthand. You see him, how he works and how he prepares and how he educates. So, yeah, I mean, I take that and I run with it.
He's on another level. He just knows. He knows his psychology. I'll tell you a quick story about him. Like at NYWC, right? He's in the back and he's hanging out. I called the match. I can't remember. It was a tag match. I think it was like me and Corey Cooper, who doesn't wrestle anymore and unfortunately doesn't because he was really good. And then I don't know who we wrestled. I can't remember who it was. So we called a match and we maybe it wasn't even Corey. Maybe it wasn't. It was Juba. It was me and Juba versus Milk Chocolate. And I know this match exactly because there's a part in that match, and that's on YouTube, where I'm wrestling. I'm in the ring with Brandon Watts. I do the Ric Flair over the top rope, but I do it dead center of the ring. I go all the way over and I super kick Randy Summers, and then back into the match. And we came through the curtain, and the first thing Mikey Whipwreck does is go, "Why'd you super kick him? Why'd you super kick him that early?" And I'm like, what do you, I don't even remember I did it at this point. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, you super kicked Randy in the beginning of the match. Oh, because I flipped over the ropes and he was on that side of the post. So I just hit him with a quick, I thought in my head, a quick super kick. Oh, quick super kick. It's a finish. He yelled at me, but he's standing. He made sure to stand on we have in the locker room, we have these benches. He's standing on top of the bench yelling at me. So I'm looking up at him and he's just like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? And then we came through the curtain and we're like, that match was great, except I screwed up I ate shit on oh my God, what is it called? A springboard. I ate shit on a springboard. And we thought it was great. We came through the curtain all high, happy. And he's just like, should have done this, should have done this, shouldn't have done this, should not have done this, should never do that. And we're like, oh.
Damn. on the job training right there, man. And that's the best advice you can get. It's right there.
It was spot on. Everything he said, you could see it in your brain where it would have changed the match and how it would have made it better. And it wasn't like he was trying to shit on us or, you indie pieces of trash, it wasn't none of that. It was get your shit in, cool, do your stuff, but do it like this. Try. And everything he said, I'm like, damn. And sometimes like those moments can be real hard to take in. And but that moment specifically is like seared in my brain. And I remember every word he said because I was trying to simultaneously not laugh and be terrified because I'm just looking at him like standing over me, just perched, not even yelling, just speaking loud because the locker room's loud. And I'm just like trying not to laugh because he's saying funny stuff. But he's also giving me some of the best knowledge possible. And I don't want to offend him by like giggling in his face while he's giving me amazing advice.
Yeah.
That's a moment like that's for me just seared in my brain. It's one of my favorite, like that's a wrestling moment that nobody will get. Like you can tell it down the line. I can tell it now. And people are like, it's whatever, man. It's just another guy giving you advice, but it's not. It was a moment for me for some reason.
That's awesome, man. You mentioned Randy Summers, and you were a tag team with him, and you were a tag team champion with him right before your Fusion champion, and a team called Going Over, and this was back in 2019. So do you have any stories about the time you were teaming with him, and what was that like? I mean, he's a tag team guy. What is that like tagging with him?
He's amazing, dude. Milk Chocolate in general is a team, both of them, just together and separate. They can be singles guys. They can be a tag team. I think they can team with anyone and just get over and just they're so talented and so good and just they know what they're doing. It's so good. Like watching them, I make a point, whether they're on before me or on after me or wherever they are on the card, I make a point to watch their match if I'm on that show. If I'm not on their show, I like seek out their matches. Like they wrestle at a company called Invictus, and I know
Invictus. Yep.
I make sure I watch all of their matches. I try because while we're all three of us are coming up, we're still trying to figure stuff out. They have something, and I watch them specifically because they know what they're doing and they're just so good about it. But like teaming with Randy was another education because at that point I wasn't a tag team guy. Didn't know my ass from an elbow. I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to tag team. I knew psychology and even that was just generic, ABC. He's in there, giving me the paint by numbers, and I'm in there with the paint by numbers and he's out there trying to create a Picasso. I don't know where you are, dude. Like you need to clue me in as to where you're going. And he's like boom, 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 boom. Like, all right, screw it. I'm following what you're doing. And in following what he was doing, I learned so much and I had so much fun. And him and I are friends in the business, out of the business. Like, he's a dude I legitimately hang out with. Like we go out to bars and we drink and we party and we have fun. We go out to get food. And we like him and I hang out like so a tag team with him was
No
something
brainer.
I never thought we could do because of how different, like, physically we are. Like, I don't look like I would be teaming with him. He's so, like, man pretty, and I am it's two total polar opposites. But you know, when we were thrown together, it was kind of like we were thrown together as a joke. And I keep saying his name, and it's so funny that now this is, I think, the third time I'm going to bring his name up. We were thrown together to lose to James Storm and Willie Wise. We were thrown together as two heels that could be heels and get them over for a one night deal. And we went out there and we didn't screw around. We messed with each other and we had fun, and everyone in the back saw it. And we came out to the Jonas Brothers, which is like, I love the Jonas, of course. But like, we came out to the Jonas Brothers. We had fun. We joked around, and we just had this, like, we were being who we are when we're out in the ring, and everyone in the back saw it, and everything we did, they were popping for. They were laughing. They were along for the ride. And while we were heels, we were like the the heels that if they acclaimed were still heels. You know, like, I'm not to put myself in that, like, that level, but like, they're fun to watch.
Right.
But they're still bad guys. You know, you could tell they're having fun, but they're still bad guys. And that was what we wanted to do, because neither of us had a direction at the time. You know, he was just coming back to wrestling because Brandon was hurt. I had just gotten back to wrestling because I was hurt, and was being lazy, I think, at that point. And yeah, I was being very lazy at that point. And he upped my level for wanting to do this, and then just kept building on top of it, and we were having fun. And then we got put together again and again and again and again and again. Eventually, NYWC management was just like, we kind of have something here. Like, you guys want to cut promos? And the two of us cutting promos is just, you don't want to be in a room, because we're just making fun of things, and we're just making jokes, and like using our inside joke humor, and like saying stuff that we, like, nobody's gonna get the stuff, but we're laughing about it, and it's annoying. Like, that was our promo. Like, him and I are making jokes, we're laughing, but you're on the outside, and I love that part about it. And that was our whole gimmick, was just we think we're so cool, and we're not. And when they were like, all right, we're gonna put the titles on you, and we're like, good joke, that's hilarious. And no, like, we're going to, it's gonna be awesome. And we're like, okay, cool, we'll do that. So we won the titles. I think we defended them twice, and then Brandon came back, and Brandon and Randy were like, this was the beginning of 2019, I think. And like, wrestling was just, like, indies were just starting to explode again, where WrestleMania was coming up, and like 2019, I don't know if you remember 2019, like Mania, that was like the first year that I can remember where the WrestleMania bookings for the independents, you could wrestle from noon to 1 a.m. 5 days in a row. Like,
with the Joey Janela spring breaks and all that stuff going on. Yeah.
Where it exploded.
Yeah.
And Milk Chocolate was like, we want to on this. And the only way for them to do it was for them to start teaming again everywhere. And I was absolutely cool with that, but I wasn't done with the run. Like, in my head, I was like, man, I feel like there's still stuff here. So we ended up doing like a Freebird rule. So I was part of Milk Chocolate, whether they want to admit it or not. I was part of Milk Chocolate for one match. And we lost the titles.
Matching tights or no? Did they give you Milk Chocolate tights? Did you wear one of them?
No, you know what? Had we done it twice, I would have 1000% not told them and had them made.
And then you put it in a shadow box, like right behind on your wall somewhere. It looked amazing.
Just it would be like weird Conway, like milk devil, weird shit. Like,
Devil's food, dude. That's what it is. It's devil's food chocolate.
Food. Oh my God. They better listen to this because it's going to happen. We're going to do a trios again one day.
That's fantastic. So you mentioned EAW, Extreme Annihilation Wrestling, and the title's right over your shoulder, and you're currently holding the world championship, correct?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
I see their tag titles are on the line tomorrow night. NYWC, draw the line.
My boys,
let's give them some love. Let's talk about the SLIMEBALLZ going after the EAW championship, and what's the working relationship like with NYWC, and how are they sort of involved on the card? Are they just kind of a floating promotion right now?
First, I'm going to get to the SLIMEBALLZ. Those little shits, I love them so much. they have come into NYWC and they have made me relearn shit that I didn't want to relearn, and I love it. I love they're so young and they want it so bad, and they have drive, and I see it and I'm like, this is awesome. They listen. And if, anyone who gives them the advice, they listen and they take it seriously. Most of the time. but they're so good, man. And it's like SLIMEBALLZ versus Aiden and Mouse is like a match made in hell. That match is going to be so good. Can't wait to watch it. I know the SLIMEBALLZ are coming out on top. They better win. Otherwise, I'm going to be so mad. But that company also. So I give Marty Speedman is the guy that runs it. I give him a lot of shit on social media, like a lot. I trash him as much as humanly possible. But that dude, there's not a bad bone in that guy's body. He is a good dude through and through. And he was a guy that just before the pandemic, he wanted to run a show. And I don't know if you know anything about like New York wrestling and like how it works to book a show. But
with the insurance and such, like the logistics like that, yeah.
There's so much red tape that in order to start a company, it is fiscally not responsible at all. But if you have a running company that is willing to buy into you, which NYWC, I guess, did. I don't know the logistics of it, so I'm kind of like, spitballing it. But if NYWC wants, I think NYWC owns their name, which is something that needs to happen with New York State Athletic and all that stuff. But so they run with NYWC. NYWC presents EAW, but Speedman puts on these cards, and usually their last show was, I want to say, just post-pandemic, and it was so good. It was a tag team. It was for the tag team titles. It was a tag team tournament almost the whole show. There was a women's title match, which Tina San Antonio has. Willow had that title at one point. It was funny. Willow had the EAW title, and Rex had the EAW title, who I beat that for. Beat that, and I beat Willow for that.
Oh wow.
So that, like, they had that. So NYWC was just reigning supreme in that company, and they treat everybody so well. They want to put on the best product possible. They when you walk in that locker room, it feels like there's a guy, Joe, I think his name is Joe Guardia or whatever. He puts on like boxing, professional boxing fights all over Long Island and stuff, or used to at least. And a couple of my buddies used to fight for that company. And when you go in the locker room, that's what their locker room feels like. It just feels like it's a professional locker room. And I love that. Whenever I can go into a locker room that feels professional, feels real, feels like we're part of a company, like NYWC's locker room is just like that. EAW's locker room is like that. Immortal Championship, like there, I can list the locker rooms that are, but you'll find out who I work for that isn't through through that list.
Gotcha.
Like, keep going. But like those companies specifically are like so they're so professional, and I love a professional locker room when you walk in and you know what you're doing, and you have an idea of where the card is. You know, the card is up before you even show up. The card is made, and there's so many places that, you know, and a lot of indie guys can attest to this, I'm sure. When you show up and you go, you know, when am I on? And they go, I don't know. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't know? Like, when am I on? Like, I want to know. Like, I need to know. Am I first? Am I third? Am I fifth? Am I, you know, some indie cards 26th? I don't know. When am I getting dressed? First of all, how long do I have to stretch and get ready for this match? And that's never been a problem with EAW. That's never been a problem with like NYWC or any of the other companies I named, plus multiple others, you know, Beyond Wrestling. And those companies are all just top-notch professional companies. And I love working for places like that. I love working for, you know, the other companies as well, you know, but sometimes it's a little more of an adventure, if I can use that as the word.
Yeah. So there's a little bit on the line here as well outside. If they win the EAW Tag Championships, that will be, we have a pizza celebration. I had them here on a visit to the Tavern. We had a discussion. Yeah. So they live near me. So there's a pizza place called Coliseo. And if this was Tommy wanted to go get pizza. And if they win the titles, we're going to be celebrating in person. And you are more than welcome. I know you're an island guy now. You were from Sarasota, Florida, but you know, you're living here now. But if you want to come out to Port Jefferson, you're more than welcome.
Terrible. I love pizza, so I will be there. Yeah.
All right, hell yeah. Well, they're going to win, so that's what we're going to put it on to.
Hell yeah. Reds, absolutely. They're going to win. We're getting pizza. I don't care. Tommy's paying. It doesn't matter.
All right. So I'm of the opinion that competition and generally more wrestling creates better wrestling. I know you're busy. You're taking all the bookings you can. Are you following the current product as far as television goes? AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, WWE, and do you have a preference as a fan right now?
I watch everything. And this will go back to pandemic. During the pandemic, I sat down with my then girlfriend, now fiance, unfortunately. Right. And we couldn't do anything. And I was depressed, and I was like, I got to make content. I got to do this, right? I got to typical stuff. And we were all depressed. We got our lives torn apart. We got for good reason. We didn't want people to get hurt or die or any of this stuff, but we got our lives changed, we'll say. And as an artist, getting your ability to create art hurts physically. Like, you don't have an outlet now, and I didn't have an outlet, so I didn't know what to do, and I was getting real sad about it, and listening to a lot of emo music, of course. Get real sad. And then I was just like, you know what? What if I just watch everything? I just watch everything, and I started watching, every Raw, every SmackDown, every NXT, every AEW show, every YouTube AEW show, every NWA show, because they weren't putting on stuff. So I was watching the back catalog. I was watching New Japan. I bought New Japan World, Ring of Honor. I watched, a lot of their stuff that they were doing the pandemic stuff. I was watching all that stuff. So I started watching everything, and then I continue that. Now I try to watch as much as humanly possible. I try to make time to watch at least the main TV shows, the Raws, the SmackDowns, or at least one of those two, and at least the AEW show. I try to make time to at least watch that. And I catch New Japan here and there. I just recently started watching more I don't want to say off brand, but like Noah. I've been watching other stuff like that. Yeah, trying to educate myself on different styles of that style, and that's really what it's about. I want to learn. I want to learn what what they're doing. But yes, I watch everything I can. That's to answer your question in a
Awesome.
long.
So let's get into some of the influences you have outside the ring. And SAT really seem to have taken you under their wing, and they speak very highly of you, your in-ring work, your promo work. They're always hyping you up on social media. Jose even tweeted and quotes, "You haven't even hit your potential, bro. You're going to be one of the all-time greats, in my humble opinion." What's that like to hear that from literally the innovators of the style that everyone knows and loves today?
Dude, I don't even, I can't fathom that honestly yet. It hasn't, like, even like hearing it, you said it. I can't understand what that means, because they are literally guys that I watched before I even got in the business. And when, like, Amazing Red, them, uh like like that style, that, like, low key, those guys in Ring of Honor and anywhere they went, I would follow. Like, I would make sure, me and my brother, before I got in the business, would go anywhere on the island that Amazing Red was wrestling, like anywhere. And we were like, we got to do it. Like, that's also a dream match of mine, by the way. But like, anywhere he would go, we would go, because I fell in love with the style that they do. They wrestle that style, and I being my size, I try to do that style as well, or at least show the influence in what I do. And I stopped doing Spanish flies because of them, because they're back now full time and they're killing it. I stopped doing some of their stuff that I stole from them, but dude, they are amazing, and they give me such good advice, and they talk me up, but like, they don't talk me up to give me a big head. They talk me up, and then they tell me what I did wrong, and they give me, or tell me what I could have done to do better. So it's like that Mikey Whipwreck. It's like that, that coach mentality. And I don't, like, I just had this conversation the other day. I don't understand what they see in me, but I'm so happy they see it, because to have their brains to pick, like, I could just pick up my phone and hit up one of them and be like, "Hey, can you watch this and see what you think?" And they will respond within minutes. And to have that resource at my fingertips, I'd be an idiot not to use that. I'd be an absolute idiot. And I don't know what, where they got, in their mind to pick me to kind of look at and help out. But I mean, I don't even know how to, like, respond, because that shit, that blows my mind. They, out of everybody, SAT picked, and they have other people as well. It's not just me.
Yeah,
But
Sal, Jaden, they definitely hype those guys up as well. Yeah.
but like, to be in that group where they see something and they want to help, and they want to pass their knowledge, and the stuff that they've done on is next level. Like, that's stuff that again, that's I have moments with them that are moments for me. And in wrestling, I don't know if, I'm sure a lot of people have that, but those are moments that I can tell the stories. I can write them in a book. I can write them on a piece of paper. I can whatever, right? No one will understand what those moments mean but me, because I wrestled for their first show. They the Win show, Wrestling Is Now. I wrestled Jacob Fatu, and they had hit me up before that, and they were like, "Hey man, I want you to know, you're our main event." And I was like, "What?" I thought they were messing with me, and, like, because they joke around a lot, and I'm like, I really thought they were messing with me, and they weren't. And they're like, "Oh, and by the way, you're wrestling Jacob Fatu, who was another guy
Wow.
that was
Yeah.
on my." And that match is on YouTube. Like, please, everybody, go on YouTube, find it, comment on it. If you hated it, comment what you liked. Like, I want to know what people think about that match like, in general.
That's awesome. So you mentioned Whipwreck, Mondo, SAT. Who else are your mentors in wrestling? Who's the go-to if you have a question or you just want something to bounce off of?
Oof. Papadon is another one. Papadon's a huge one. He's a guy that helped me get started really getting out from underneath the NYWC tree. You know, he brought me places, and he would talk to promoters for me, and he would tell me how I should talk to promoters, and show me, hey man, like there's different flavors of ice cream, you know, so you know some people aren't going to like your stuff, but some people will. If you do it right, they can't shit on you so much, you know, like that makes it doesn't, I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does, yeah.
You know, if you do it right, but it's not their style, the stuff that they like, while they might not like it, they can't kill you for it. And that's something I've always picked up from him. And like, he's a dude, I spend hours a month in a car with him, and we just make fun of each other, and we pick each other's brains, and like, you know, not like he needs me for help, but like, you know, sometimes he'll see something that he does and be like, did this look bad? I'll be like, it always looks bad, Jimmy. Like, it always looks, always. No, but like that's a dude. He's been around for so long. He wrestled Abe Lincoln in his first match. But he's a dude that's been around for so long, and literally has so much knowledge from different people, a huge scope of people. And like, again, another asset that's like at my fingertips. And like, I'm so honored to have these people. And like, Papadon is one of them. Dickie Rod's another one. Like, the dude has been around and done everything, like on the independents, been, you know, going for 20 years. I think he's been wrestling. It's amazing. Like, I'll be, I don't even know if I'll make 20. That'd be amazing. Like, that's crazy. I hope I do, you know, but like, he's crazy. Like, Rex Lawless, another dude that's just next level good. And, you know, we're both grinding. So his, you know, anything he says, like, booking wise, and, you know, like cool spots, like just stuff like that, like anything, like he'll put like little tidbits out, and like he'll talk to me about stuff. Like, there's a litany of people that like helped me throughout my career, and have literally given me, even if it's one word, you know, like one little tidbit of information or help. And like, I have a notebook that I try to write everything down, like all the seminars I do, or take. I don't do seminars. All the seminars I go to, and like a lot of us have that notebook, the seminar notebook. But I also write, like, you know, if Papadon says something that like it rings in my brain, like, oh man, that I got to remember that, you know, like if I can remember back to when I started, and randomly, like in my head, I remember somebody, and I can't remember who it was, but I remember somebody saying wrestling doesn't owe you anything. And this was only a couple of months ago that I wrote this down. And they said wrestling doesn't owe you anything. And I didn't understand what it meant. And I remember a couple of people didn't understand what it meant, but I was so fresh and so new. I didn't want to like rock the boat. So I was just like, I don't know what it means, but like, I'm not going to like, hey, what does it mean? Like, oh. And finally somebody was like, what do you mean? And I was like, thank you. I was going to ask the same question, but I was too chicken to ask. And it literally, like, wrestling exists whether I'm in wrestling or not. You know, like I think CM Punk said it. I'm just a spoke on a wheel. And so wrestling doesn't owe me anything. I owe everything to wrestling. Wrestling has not only saved my life, you know, legitimately. Wrestling has got me through hardest times in my life. The lowest of lows. It's also been there for the highest of highs. I've never had more fun in wrestling. I've never had more fun than I have in wrestling. Rather, I've never been more frustrated than when I wrestle. You know, like, but it's that roller coaster. And there's people at my fingertips that I can talk to, and like SAT and Rex and Papadon and Mikey Whipwreck and Mike Mondo and like Nice Alex Reynolds, those guys trained me. And like the little tidbits that I remember, I put in that notebook. Like, so I have a notebook filled with just either one-liners of just like golden knowledge or like stuff that for some reason rings true, like hard rings true to me. So like, I'll probably remember like 5 or 6 others that like I like put on that pedestal, but those for now are the ones that I at least remember.
So you mentioned Dickie Rod's 20 years in. You just celebrated your 9-year anniversary of your first match. When you close the book on your career a long way down the road, how do you want to be remembered in pro wrestling? What's your legacy that you're leaving behind?
Stone Cold said that if you don't want to be the world champ, you shouldn't be in pro wrestling. I want to be the best wrestler that's ever lived, ever, period. I want to be the best to ever do it. I want to be remembered as, I want people to think of me, Shawn Michaels, in the same sentence. Like I want to be in that I don't even know, stratosphere, that universe. Like I don't even know what that is. And I hope to one day find out. And that's what I want. And I spent years, with the idea. I was thinking about this earlier today, actually, because I was like, oh, where do I want to be? And I remember back on like when I first started, I wanted that I only want the Intercontinental Championship. That mindset of like, I want to settle for what I like. Like I just want to be a pro wrestler. That's it. That's all I started to do. When I started, all I wanted to do, I wanted to have one match. And then I wanted to have 2 matches. After my second match, I was like, man, I want to do this more. I want to do this like a lot. So I would do it once a month. Like at NYWC, they would book me once a month because I was training there. Still am to this day. 3 days a week. And if you're trying to train, you should train there. They're really good. But that's all I wanted. It was just these little things, and they built building blocks. And then around like 2019, when Randy and I were teaming, I was like, oh man, like this is like fun. Like there's always this point in your career in wrestling when it goes from being so stressful and so like afterwards, you're so happy. It's so fun. But like the leading up to it, you have such anxiety. Well, I don't know. I don't know if everybody has this, but I did. I would have so much anxiety. And I would have like, I spend the day of a show just like in a ball and just like crippled from that anxiety. And then I would have the match and I'd be like high as can be, just adrenaline through the roof. Be like, this is the greatest day of my life. Every month it was the greatest day of my life. And then it became like, at some point in like 2019, I was like, no, like maybe around 2017, 2018. So like 4 or 5 years ago, somewhere around there. At this point, like it's crazy to imagine that. It became like, oh man, I see all my friends. They're wrestling like 5 matches Mania weekend. And I'm like, that would be cool. That would be real cool. And now I'm just like, I want to shoot for the freaking stars, man. I want everything. I want it all. I want to be world champ in every and any company. I want to be that guy that everyone looks at like universally as a great wrestler. I want to have fun. I want this to be my job. I want this to be my full career, nothing else, no side hustle, no nothing. I don't want to have to worry about, stuff. I just want to wrestle. That's it. That's all I want. My fiance is going to hate that answer. But
dude, I definitely feel that too. Cause I made my debut with ring announcing for Remarkable for their Halloween show. And I felt that I wasn't in the ring, but like doing it for the first time, the build up and the preparation. And when it was done, when you're just hanging out with everybody after the show and everyone's talking about their matches and they're giving you feedback, some constructive criticism, it's the best feeling in the world. So I completely feel you in a completely different way, but like that's how I felt. And I can't wait for next month for the December show. It's gonna be awesome.
It's the same way. It's just a different avenue for it. It's the same thing, same exact. You probably have the same exact, and like what's weird with what you did versus what I do is mine's like 8 minutes to 30 minutes, like max on an independent show. You're going the entire time. So like, I don't understand that adrenaline dump. Cause like, how are you even managing, like my ride is just like a rocket ship. It's just dude, then it burns out, right? Yours is just like, it keeps going. I don't know.
Speaking of it, again, this is the first time I did it for the Halloween show, and it may feel different the second time, but it's just in the beginning, you're super nervous, you're hyped up, and you're like yelling in the microphone. And then you kind of get a little calm because now you wait, whatever, 8 to 10 minutes for the match to finish. Here's your winner. And then you go back and do it again. So that was, man. And when the main event came, that was the culmination of all the buildup. You imagine you taking a shower and like wondering, how are you going to present the championship match? You want it to feel a certain way. And that's how you learn. I mean, I watched it back a million times. There's things I want to do better. But that's how you grow as a performer in any way.
Get yourself a little notebook and write those things down. Every time you find something that you want that to make better. And again, I'll get into this real quick. When Nice was training, was the trainer at NYWC, he said he would watch, because I brought up that I don't watch my matches. Now I do, but at the time I didn't watch my matches. And he's like, why don't you watch your matches? And I'm like, oh, I hate the way I wrestle. Like, I hate the way I look when I'm in the ring. I hate the way I do this or do that. And he's like, I used to be the same way. And I can't remember how the conversation went 100%, but I remember what he said, which was he hated the way he walked. And like, as silly as that is, I hate the way I walk. And I remember that because it sounds so dumb. It sounds so silly, but it's so big when you think about it. When you walk through the curtain, if you hate the way you walk and it looks not tough or not, not part of your character, or it looks off, any little piece is off. Like when I walk through a curtain, if you don't see me like going like this, there's something a little off. You just see me like I'm pro wrestler guy. The way I present myself is not pro wrestler. I'm not, a technician guy, so if you see me walk out presenting myself as a technician guy, and then I get in the ring and I wrestle the way I wrestle, so there's something a little off from that, and like, I didn't get that at the time. It took a long time, but that's one of those things that I wrote in that notebook and I revisited, and I was like, man, I hate the way I walk. And that's ridiculous. So I changed the way I walk, and I hated my promos. I changed my promos. I hated the way I got in the ring, the way I got in the ring. I hated it. I thought it looked weak. I thought it looked like I didn't know how to get in the ring. It looked not professional for some reason in my head. That's what I thought. So now I watch all of my stuff to nauseum and just write notes down and like hate myself for like a week.
Wow. I mean, the feedback is unbelievable. And I saw on Twitter, and I follow you on Twitter. You guys should follow him. Great follow. You guys see it scrolling past on Instagram and also on Twitter. Joey's really active on there. You tweeted a while back that Chavo was giving you feedback on your match and how much you appreciated it. So NYWC has all the legends we talked about. Mike Mondo. We even talk about Willow, who's a legend in her own right. A who's who of wrestling coming through. They really see your matches. I think about all the faces that were there to see the casket match. There were so many people that were in the building.
Yeah.
What is the best advice that you've ever received that you can think of now when you're constructing matches going forward? We talked about advice, putting them in a notebook, but what's the best one that pops into your brain right now?
Slow down. That's really, as silly as that sounds. It's like the third thing they tell you when you go to wrestling school. Like, when you think you're going too slow, go slower. That's actually the word, the thing I was told. And I never got that until like this year. This year, like, was the first time I slowed down and listened to the crowd, and like that. At least for wrestling's sake, slow down. Or when you think you're going too slow, slow down, or go slower. Whatever. However it was verbaged to me, or worded to me. And that honestly is that's a gold, a little golden piece of advice that I never really understood. And I don't think I was supposed to, like, people. I don't think people are supposed to understand. When you get advice, most times it goes in one ear out the other, like, and that sucks. That's why I try to write stuff down, because while it might not mean something to me now, because I don't even know what that meant at the time. Like I just, I'm getting in the ring, just trying to, oh, I'm going to lock up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I didn't know. And then, I look back on it and I'm like, oh, that's what they want me to slow down, like actually slow down. Like, that's so funny to, like, you just think that you got to go a million miles an hour and you don't. Like, the crowd has to understand what you're doing. I'm like, holy shit.
It's really good advice. I mean, just for everything, just to think about what you're doing, and you think you're moving slower than ever. But like you said, if you're moving slower, go slower. And
yeah.
Fantastic advice. So if you had $100 million to spend to improve the wrestling landscape for the better with no red tape, we talked about red tape before, how would you spend it? Are you starting your own promotion? Or are you opening your training school? What would you be doing?
100,000, you said?
100 million.
100 million? Oh my God.
A lot of money.
Just going to the Bahamas and disappearing.
No, to better the wrestling business. What would you do to better the wrestling business?
I would be out
with that money.
Damn, 100 million. That's a rough one, because that's so much money that you could open a company but not stay afloat, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to imagine the amount of money that Tony Khan has sunk into AEW. And to me, that is a viable source. Like that's a company that, a lot of companies come up and they open up and they're I don't know. And again, I don't know how much they spend on those companies. Like Impact Now. What do you spend per year? Like,
even they would be in the millions. I mean, think about
right?
The contracts alone for AEW is just insane. The talent level that you started with too on the entry.
$100 million is it's, while it is a ton, and like unfathomable amount of money, I don't think it's enough to start a promotion. I think it's enough to invest in a promotion if you really wanted to, or like you said, open a performance center of some sort, and maybe that might be the route. That might be the scenario where you don't have a WWE performance center, but you kind of steal all the ex-WWE performance center people and open your own style of that, where now you're training people properly, and you can kind of take people under your wing and maybe sign people to a contract where hey. I don't even know, because I wouldn't sign that contract, honestly, to just train. And like, what happens after I train? Like, nothing. Like, I don't get, the school wouldn't get anything back. So, like, I don't know, maybe open a training school that's, top notch, next level, get some of the best minds in the business and kind of bring them together. I don't know how long it would last, but at least for a little while, you might be able to produce some top notch, incredible talent, and but at the same time, you got guys like Conrad Thompson,
yeah,
who changed the wrestling landscape probably for the better, just with podcast. And like, I don't care who it is. If there's a wrestler that's not listening to one of the podcasts that he has, they're lying, because he has so many good ones that, and they're dropping like little tidbits of knowledge, whether you're a fan and you can hear it and like understand it a little bit, but like some of the stuff they drop, and I'm like, man, I can't believe they just said that on air. Like, that's behind the curtain stuff that, like, we shouldn't, like 15, 20 years ago, they would hate putting out there, and like but that changes. There's multiple ways to change the wrestling landscape.
Just think about Conrad for a sec. He took Tony Schiavone, brought him back to wrestling. He brought back Eric Bischoff to wrestling. He brought Bruce Pritchard back into the WWE scope. And then also, I mean, Ric Flair's back into like that ether as well. I mean, everything he touches, he brings guys back into the wrestling world. And Jeff Jarrett too.
Now take those guys and move them aside, right? he also does the fan fests.
True.
With like WrestleMania like weekend level shows attached to, and now he's attached to AAA or something like that, or he does such crazy stuff now. And I guess that's also part of investing in I made X amount of dollars, and you just keep building, and now
Right.
you can spend X amount of dollars and be back to where like be comfortable. But it's a guy like him that I see that like he wasn't in the wrestling business, and I don't know if you know his story. It's hilarious how he got in the
Well, he's
wrestling.
married to Flair's other daughter, not Charlotte, right?
Yeah. But before that, like you have to like look up his story, because I don't want to tell it and then be completely like missing pieces of it. But his story, how he got into like the wrestling business from being a fan and just
a belt collector too. He's like an in-ring belt collector as well.
Yeah, look at the stuff behind him. Is just like he's got like Dusty Rhodes' boots.
Yeah.
Flair's robe before he even knew Ric Flair.
Right.
Like how? That's amazing. But like guys like him, he's changing the wrestling business for the better.
Yes, for sure.
He's educating. He's putting out content that is wrestling related, but not wrestling. And that's to me, that's always been the even like with WWE, like those have been my favorite DVDs. Like back in the day to buy was always like the behind the scenes, like story of the Hardy Boys, or the Legend of the Ladder Match, or whatever. I don't know, whatever DVD they had.
Yeah,
but those were always my favorite, like the biopics or biographies.
100%. And we talked about people in your phone that you text any given time. Who is the most interesting person in your phone right now for scrolling through? You like, they don't have to answer you, but whose number do you have saved that's like, holy shit, I can't believe I have his number?
I have to say my fiance. I have to. Right. So
right answer.
I don't even know. Most interesting person in my phone,
like that you would have told yourself 10 years ago, I can't believe I had this person. I guess it could be SAT because you were watching them, but
it would probably be them or Mondo. Like even 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, before I even started wrestling,
right,
I would go to NYWC shows, right? So like I would, or any local independent, regardless. And like guys like Dickie Rods and Rex and Crusher Dugan and these guys are all on those shows. Stockade, they're all on these shows, all of them. So for me, they're larger than life. 11 years ago, larger than life. So for me to even know them or be able to text them is like that. Like think back on that is crazy. Now they're my friends. Like right. I know. Like wrestling is such a wild place to like be involved in, and just. But like like a Mondo, probably a Nice, definitely SAT. Either they're amazing.
Awesome answers. And as we wind down here, I got some lightning questions for you. Feel free to elaborate, or they could just be one-word answers. So what book are you currently reading, or what book have you most recently read that sort of like caught your eye as far as wanting to read it? It could be 10 years ago if you haven't read in a while.
I am the worst reader of all time. I buy books and I go, I'm going to read them. And then I don't read them. Like I just bought, I don't even know. I don't want to say that one. I bought The Family, the Manson book.
Okay.
About that. Like I'm like looking at the books I have. I'm gonna read these. There's this I can't think of the name of it. It's over there, so I'm not gonna look at it. But there's this book that like Cornette recommended years ago that I finally bought, and it's small. And it's about wrestling. I'll remember it. I'll just tweet it or something. But that book, I want it's small, and I should just read it. Like I buy a lot of like wrestling related books, or books. The book I said I didn't want to say I bought, I'll say, but it's I bought it specifically for research purposes, and it's the book of the Satanic Bible, right? So I
gimmick study, yo. It's some gimmick study for yourself.
So I don't want to say that like and then have people be like, oh my God, you're the anti. Well, I would like them to say that about my character, sure, but I bought that book because I always loved that everybody does that Austin 316 promo, and right. It's based on the Bible, right? So I was like, oh man, what if there's something in that's the other way, on the other side, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? So I was like, oh man, maybe I'll buy that. And I just never got into it. And I think Anton LaVey is such an idiot. So like, full of himself. It's ridiculous. But yes,
good. That's a really good answer. And I'm going to go with the next one. If you could have dinner with anyone alive or dead, who would it be? Famous or not famous, doesn't matter.
Damn. Well, number one would be my dad. Number two, I don't even. Maybe like. I don't even like that's a wild. Like, I never thought of something like that. What's a normal answer you get? Like, what do you get? Like,
I mean, it could be like this is the first time I'm ever asking, but I've asked like have coffee with somebody. It would be like president, like, Abraham Lincoln or George Washington or wrestlers that are long gone that you want to talk to that you have that, we're in this bit. Even Roddy Piper, like he's gone, like picking his brain about working heel. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. So you know what? I'm going to go with that. Roddy Piper.
All right. So if you could be present at any historical event, visible or invisible, what would it be?
Any historical.
Just to see it happen.
Inside wrestling, I would love to be at WrestleMania 3. Not inside wrestling. Historical event. Probably, I don't know. That's a tough one too, because that could go so many routes, man.
Like Back to the Future 4 with Joey Conway.
Dude, I would love that. I would love, like, honestly, I just want to go and see. You know what? Historical event. I want to see that, and I want to be invisible because I want to survive this. So I would love to see when the meteor hit the Earth and killed the dinosaurs.
And you have the answer for everybody. Awesome. I love it. What is something you used to think one way about and have since completely changed your mind? Whether the time period be 5 years, 2 years, what has like you completely shifted 180 on?
Wrestling. Wrestling 100%. But again, outside of wrestling, business in general, I thought I knew stuff about having a business, and I didn't know anything about it. So I've shifted my fiscal opinion on stuff, on everything. That was like a real low tier answer, but yeah.
No, I liked it. And this is the final lightning question. I'm going to move into some fan questions after this. What world record do you think you could set or break when given the chance? If like you had to properly train for it, whether it be like, I thought like, eating food. Like I always look at like during 4th of July when Joey Chestnut's eating all the hot dogs, I always look up the records for like most mozzarella sticks ever eaten. Like I could fucking do that. I know I could do that.
Yeah. That like, come on. Like most claps in a minute. Like, I don't like, come on. There's that's like such a stupid record. There's definitely out there. I don't even know if it's there, but it's definitely out there. So like I could beat that. I don't even know who it is, but like, come on, you're not an athlete. Get out of here.
Joey Conway shoots on the person that owns that record, the clap record. I'm sure it's out there.
It definitely is. It's like what? Some of these world records are just wild. I fell down a MythBusters hole, like with Disney Plus, Discovery Plus being out, and like they beat a bunch of like one of the episodes they just beat a bunch of records, and every time they beat a record I was like, you got to be kidding me. And then like, oh, we go back to pop punk, Paramore. They did that one music video where they beat all of those records. I'm like, I could beat all of those records that Paramore.
There you go.
Sorry, Lee, I'm calling you out.
Amazing. So some of the fan questions came our way, and this some of them are from Phil Fortuna on Instagram. So shout out to that person. I forget what the actual name of his handle was, but Phil, thank you for submitting some questions. So some of the questions we did touch on, so it was about your gimmick and all that. But what promotions are currently looking at you, and would you consider MLW or NWA if they came calling?
Yeah, absolutely. Any chance I can get to get my name out and be in front of people, I would love to work for any company, almost every company. I'm sure there's some companies, and they don't deserve to be named, that are involved in some shady stuff. But again, they don't deserve to be named, so screw them. But yeah, there's companies all over, man. I want to work more for Beyond. I would love to work for MLW. I know they just signed a bunch of really good dudes, and I really want to work for them. Noah, I would love to work for them. Impact is another company. Like I did their gut check. I don't even know if I should be talking about that because they haven't released it yet, but I check in March or May or something, and that was a fun experience. You know, I had a fun match with there, but you know, Ring of Honor, if Tony Khan ever brings that back, like I love, and then you know, obviously the big ones. You know, I want to wrestle for every company, any company. Like I said before, I want to be the best wrestler across all planes.
So favorite match of all time and show. So he split them up in two different questions. You have a favorite match that comes to mind, and then a favorite show that you watched, whether it be recently or as a kid.
Wrestling related.
Yes.
So my favorite match, it changes probably pretty frequently, but right now, I am on a huge Booker T kick. Like I watch almost nothing but Booker T. Like it's very odd, I know, but I like his King Booker stuff to me is next level. And then I just recently started rewatching his TNA run where he was doing the King Booker gimmick, and that stuff is some of the main event mafia stuff is so good. So probably what Booker T and like Mysterio had a match
for the championship. He just mentioned that match, I think, in an interview recently. 09, I would say it was something like that.
That match is so good. I just recently watched that, and like that one was just next level. I just recently the other one. There's two from the same pay-per-view. I think it's like Hog Wild 94, which is another one weird. I just put it on. I was like, this is gonna be great. Terrible at the same time. But it was amazing. They opened the show with Mysterio versus Ultimo Dragon. That match is freaking insane. And then later in the show, it's Eddie Guerrero versus Ric Flair for the US title, I think.
That's 96, I believe, right? Is that
yeah. I knew it was like in that range, like 94, 95.
We just covered it on Shot Nostalgia. The only reason I know is I was like, Ultimo Dragon, Rey Mysterio. My brain went to for Booker T. Can you imagine telling someone in 1999, 1998 that one day for the WWE Championship it would be Rey Mysterio versus Booker T main eventing a pay-per-view? It'd be like no one would believe you.
I would have been like, no way, absolutely not a chance.
Vince McMahon still owning the company too, like Rey Mysterio, the same Rey Mysterio who's 5'10", and
there's not a chance.
Crazy.
Not a chance. I would have even thought about that. And again, same scenario. Dude's in ECW. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. So as we kind of wind down here, and this has been a blast, man. This is, 2 hours flew by with you. Yeah. And you're more than welcome to hop on. If we want to do ECW, you're more than welcome. We're definitely rearrange that to get you on there.
Send me the list of stuff you're watching.
Hell yeah. So part of this show, and the reason why I do this is to bring some light to future stars such as yourself, and wrestling seems to have more young talent than ever. We mentioned a lot of different names throughout this 2-hour window. Who are 3 wrestlers you'd recommend for people to look out to break out in 2023? Could be more than 3 if you want to mention them by name here.
All right. So I'm going to give you probably 3 in a tag team. Well, I'm going to give you three wrestlers and 2 tag teams. The 2 tag teams are Audacity and Milk Chocolate. Definitely. Sorry, SLIMEBALLZ. Like those two groups are insane. And then 3 names. I'll give you 4, honestly, because it's Sal Civelli, Jaden Vallo, Mistretta, and I have to say Rex Lawless because he is in the best shape I've ever seen him, and he is when he's healed and he's better, he's going to crush it. Because right now he's out injured.
Awesome. And again, thank you for joining. Before I let you go, give me a few things people should expect from yourself for the rest of 2022 and going into 2023? Get all your stuff in, hype it up.
Hell yeah. Going into 2023, I have a bunch of bookings, thankfully, still, and I have dates open. So any promotion, hit me up. Obviously, all my information is on social media, but I am trying to wrestle as much as possible. I'm trying to force my way into WrestleMania weekend in LA by having, you know, the beyond a shadow of a doubt scenario. Like, you have to look at me. You have no choice. That's kind of what I'm doing. But that, you know, all I want to do is put on good matches for the rest of my career. But specifically this year, I'm going to hopefully. My hope is that I get more of my matches that I can release on YouTube. I've asked a lot of companies recently for that. I know that there's a couple of new companies that are popping up that I'm going to be working with. One is actually New Fear City is putting on a show December 9th, I think it is, in Brooklyn. And that seems to be really good. They just released today. They just released 3 today when this is recorded. They just released 3 talent announcements, and it was like Casanova Valentine, Alley Catch, and I can't think of the other one right now. But that's, you know, that show's shaping up to be insane. When Win comes back, that's going to be amazing. NYWC always puts on an insane show, and believe it or not, that's a student promotion. That's a school promotion. That's, you know, that's crazy. So I'm always going to plug, you know, those places, and you know, I'm going to have to plug my merch and shit.
Of course.
You can get all my stuff on Pro Wrestling Tees. I literally purposely brought over. I just got pins for the first time. They're like
awesome. I look great.
And then I got stickers again back, and you know, 8x10s, t-shirts. I have this shirt. I have a couple of new designs that are coming out soon, probably after the holidays, so that, you know, I'm not one of those people that's gonna, you know, I probably should be, honestly. That's bad business. However, I'm not one of those people, because I know what, like, the holidays, you know, they suck so for everybody. So I'm not gonna be one of those people that, like, oh man, I just got a whole new group of merch, so now I have to buy it. Especially, like, I'm not gonna, you know, release merch when people are trying to buy gifts for their family. Dude. Like, please, by all means, buy my stuff for your family. All of your family members want my merch. They definitely do. But I have a bunch of cool stuff coming out soon. I have a bunch of designs that are coming out that are the as above, so below stuff.
Hell yeah.
You know, the cause of it all, more of that stuff, more. I'm diving more in, you know, deeper into the darker stuff. Like this shirt's a voodoo doll, and I thought that was the darkest I'd get. Turns out it gets darker, but
the Book of Satan got you elsewhere down the line. So,
you know what? When I read it, I'm gonna be like, man, you know what? I'm gonna go with MBJ's route. I'm gonna plug him as well. That dude is so next level good. Watch out for him. I don't think I mentioned him before, but he's next level good. He's another one that's everyone should watch.
Yeah, you're the Joker to his Batman. And then we talk about Ray had Malenko and Benoit had Eddie and Rock had Austin. I think right now, Man Bun and Joey Conway go together like peanut butter and jelly. You guys are made for each other in the ring.
I feel the same way. We've had nothing but good matches. We've had nothing but fun. And, you know, we see eye to eye on a lot of stuff, in ring at least as well. So, you know, him and I spend a lot of time, again, peek behind the curtain, in a car together, and we bullshit about a lot of stuff that where we want to go, how we want to get there, and I've talked to him. He's great for the business end, the merch end, the ideas guy. He is honestly the ideas guy behind the pins I just showed you. I wouldn't have had those if not for him. I look at his merch. His merch table is like 25 things deep of just,
I have one of his pins over there on my shelf. One of the Man Bun buddy pins. Yeah,
it's Bear stuff. It's his stuff. It's, you know, prayer candles. I'm like, this rules. And like, he's
So
the dude
sick.
that, and I'm like, this is insane.
So guys, again, remember to follow Joey Conway on Twitter and Instagram. I'll put it in the bio for the audio only. For audio, will be dropping on Tuesday of next week. The video, you guys are watching it Friday, or if you're watching on the Men, I appreciate it. Check out the audio. Give Joey Conway some love on social media and go buy his merch, guys. Support independent wrestling any way you can. Again, Joey, thanks for joining me. I've been the ace of the tavern, Stephen Acefield, on Visit the Tavern. Until next time, guys, we'll catch you next week.